Sound energy is one of the most common forms of energy. It is one of the first energies we are introduced to when we are born, because the moment a baby is born, he or she starts crying, and the sound energy produced is what helps us hear the cry of the baby. As we have seen in many movies such as X-Men, sound energy can theoretically be used to do some crazy stuff. In the movie X-Men, a character known as Banshee uses his voice to produce a lift and thereby helps himself fly. But is this really possible? Well, today we're gonna find that out.
As we know, everything has its advantages and disadvantages, and this is no exception. Sound energy, as we know, is very crucial in our lives. A few advantages of this may be easier and faster traveling, more personal traveling, moving objects without using much body power, easier reshaping of uneven land by bombarding with sound waves. A few disadvantages may include noise pollution, deafening and hearing problem. It may lead to land damage if the sound waves hit the earth too hard.
Sound energy is basically one of the many forms of energy that exist in the universe. Sound energy is produced by vibrations in the air. These vibrations are very specific, and our ears are accustomed to these certain vibrations to stand for a certain word or sound. That is why we can hear the same word if said again and not something different. There are a lot of places where sound energy is used. This is in navigation amongst bats because they communicate using ultrasonic waves. Sound energy is measured in decibels. The lowest decibel a human can hear is 20 decibel, while the highest is around 140 decibel. 140 decibel is considered as pain and requires ear protection.
So as we know, sound energy is basically caused by vibration in the particles of the air. And also, as we know, sound usually bounces off surfaces that are solid. That's why if you scream into a cave, you hear the scream come back to you. That's called it's an echo. So supposing if you could use a speaker of some sort and make sound energy move in a certain direction, but only limited to this much so it doesn't go outside, and it hits a surface, a solid surface. According to, since as we know, sound bounces off surfaces and echoes, the sound energy should bounce back like this, and if it's strong enough, this should be moved back.
In the past few years, scientists have been discovering ways to move objects by sound. Now, they have found a method to levitate small objects with just the power of sound waves. This research was conducted in the University of Tokyo in Japan. And even though it serves the same purpose as using magnets, the main advantage of using sound waves instead of magnets is that it is able to levitate just about any object, not just magnetic ones. Now, to explain the experiment a little bit better, I will show you this through an illustration that I have made.
On the earlier stages of the research, which was conducted by Weimar on 1975, a single speaker was used and the sound wave was reflected by a plate. After decades of improvement, scientists were able to manipulate 2D standing waves on 2013 by using several speakers. This meant that the particle was able to be moved up and down. Further investigations led to the manipulation of 3D standing waves by using several speakers on multiple sides. The speakers concentrate their waves at the particle, which is also the focus. This allows the particle to be moved both vertically and horizontally.
That's it.
usage of sound energy to move objects. We use a speaker to generate vibration in the air, which in the end will move pieces of paper on top of it. In the experiment, we also attempted different size of papers which will affect its movements. From this experiment, we know that objects with larger mass move less when same amount of energy, sound energy, is used. The small pieces of paper move the most, while the medium-sized paper move even less, and the largest move the least. Therefore, to move objects with larger masses, we need more sound energy.
Since our topic involves the idea of sound waves to move objects around, we can use Banshee from the X-Men series as an example. As you can see from the following clip, people have started to gain interest in the hidden powers of sound energy.
You like fish, I like fish too. Maybe we should get a bite sometime and talk about it.
I'd rather go out with the fish.
What you're doing is incredible. You're hitting a pitch with sound waves that have the same resonant frequency as the glass. That's why it shatters. But this, it's like any other muscle in the body. You can control it. Now remember, scream as hard as you can.
You need the sound waves to be supersonic. They should carry you. That's reassuring. Good luck.
This film is not yet rated.
Sound is indeed very crucial in our life. We use sound as a method of communication when we're communicating to each other with our voice. And what if we can use sound to move objects? Like, for example, moving a heavy object having a mass of 1000 kg. Of course, different objects will require different amount of sound energy and different frequency of sound. Like, for example, a 1000 kg object will require higher frequency to move than a 100 kg object. This is, of course, if theory can be practicalized. If we can put this theory into practice, then sound energy will definitely bring a whole lot of advantage to humanity. For example, this will solve the problem of costly transportation, because now we can transport by air and sea by using our voice to project ourselves in the air. We can travel by the air and by the sea
We do not have to take roads, which means it will allow us to avoid traffic. It also saves on the cost since we don't have to spend money on gasoline, which also saves energy. Sound energy has its drawbacks. First, sound energy is noisy. Every time we use sound energy, we're producing noise which will disturb the people around us. And then, sound energy is not as reliable as we think it is because there are limits. Humans cannot produce sound strong enough to lift themselves in the air or even move objects. Even if we come up with a new advanced technology which helps us amplify our voice to move objects, we don't know how reliable it is because we don't know how long we can keep it up. You don't want to use your voice to project yourself in the air, but suddenly maxed out your lung capacity and suddenly fall down from the air. To conclude, sound energy has the potential to solve problems and bring benefits to humanity. However, it still has a long way to go.
Sound also does play a huge role in the environment. An example is sound pollution. On the road, the sound of cars are produced in a few ways, some of which are the honking sound produced especially in big cities where human population and traffic on the road is higher. Another way is the fast movement speed of the cars. When there are many cars on the road and most of them travel in a high speed, loud sounds are heard. This, obviously, as we all know, is due to the contact of the tires on the road. And as the rotations of the tire increase and travel in a faster rate, the loudness of the sound increases. So that is pretty much how sound mainly affects the environment.
To wrap it all up, sound energy can be used for many different things if used right. This can be in many forms such as traveling, moving heavy objects, reshaping the land, and many other reasons. However, this comes with a catch. Sound energy, if used too much, can lead to the damaging of the eardrum and can also cause noise pollution. But it would be really cool if we could practicalize this theory. So in conclusion, it is theoretically possible to use sound energy to our advantage and doing crazy stuff such as flying and moving objects, but practicalizing it seems nearly impossible due to the many disadvantages that it has.